Okay, welcome back to my video. In the last one, I showed how to use a dummy no-name battery to actually power up my Canon EOS R6 and also my external monitor recorder. Here, I'm going to show how to actually connect the Canon DC Coupler DR-E6 to a V-Lock battery. To do that, I'm going to have to remove this adapter here. The reason being, this is a proprietary adapter, and I haven't been able to find anything that actually suits this particular adapter and allows me to plug to something else. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Before I do start, let me just point out just about where my thumb is, you may be able to see a positive and negative polarity. Now the positive one is on the right, and you may be able to see that it's pointing towards the inner pin, and the outer shell itself is the negative, which is shown by the negative sign here. So if I just turn this around, the inner pin there is a positive and the outer side is negative. So when I cut off this adapter and replace it with something else, I need to make sure I maintain the same polarities. Okay, so let me show you what I'm going to be using. There's a multimeter which is attached to the Canon LP-E6NH. So you can see at the present moment the voltage coming out of the Canon battery for the EOS R6 is 7.88 volts. And you know it's positive because I've got the pins in there, and I'm using these two prongs here to actually dig out the reading. It's very difficult to get the pins in and out, but you can see that the red probe is actually in the positive gap, and the black probe is in the negative gap. Just to save a bit of time, I decided to connect it beforehand. So I'm going to take that out, and for the moment move the multimeter elsewhere. What I need to do, just to also show you what's going on, I will show the output from the V-Lock battery itself. I'm going to use different set of probes, because it's just easier rather than having to take the tips off and on. All right, this is V-Lock battery. You switch it on when it's attached to a V-mount using that switch. What I want to do is take this off and show you the voltage coming out of the battery itself. So this is an EXpro BP150WS, so it's 150 watts hour, and it's rated at 14.8 volts. It also has a USB output, which is 5 volts, 2.1 amp. Now, what does this mean? Well, if we look at the connectors here, this is negative and that's positive. So if I just pop this in here and pop this in here as well, you see that according to the voltmeter, the voltage out of the battery itself is 16.61 volts. So that's within spec. I'm not too worried about it. And if I now connect this to the V-mount, and if I take this adapter here, which is the one I'm going to be using to replace the Canon one, we can then see how much power is actually coming out of the V-Lock via the 7.2 point power point. That's in place. Make sure it's switched on. Right, so what have we got here? The first thing I'm doing is just double checking that the pin that's actually coming out of the 7.2 volt section here is positive, and the only way I could do that, or at least one way I could do that, is by using probes again, putting the positive on the positive connector there, and also do the same for the negative. So you can see on the multimeter showing the power coming out of that particular point is 7.98 volts. So again, that's safe and within specifications, at least for my uses. Okay, I just switch this off. Just a recap, when we did the check earlier for this is the genuine LP-E6NH. That's rated at 7.2 volts, but that delivers close to about 8. So all I'm interested in is that the power from here is around the 7.98 volts range, and that should be sufficient to power up the Canon coupler. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this end of the cable to see what there is. So this is Canon coupler, and I'm gonna use this tool here. I'm not gonna cut too far away, so put that piece to one side. I'm going to strip that wire a bit. Let's move that bit. Is that enough? Okay, I probably need a bit more, so let's just strip that a bit further. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, so this basically has a positive and a negative. At this point, I don't know which is which. So looking at this, I'm assuming, but I will confirm, that probably the white is the positive polarity, and the the bare wire is the negative. Now let's just take this bit off. Now, before I forget, I should make sure I put all the necessary things, like that little rubber divot that actually goes at the end of the adapter. What I'll be doing, in fact, one of the things I could do beforehand, before I even do the soldering, is to confirm which is a positive and which is a negative. Now, I do that by assuming that the white is the positive, connected to there. I'm assuming, well, there is no assumption really, it is, that this is negative. So what I'm going to try and do is to connect it to here. Okay, that's not too bad. Got to be a little careful, don't touch anything when I'm doing this. I'm going to get this to connect to here. Okay, this check before soldering that everything's all right, and I've got things in at the right settings. Just changing my probes again. It's easier to use the other ones than it is to, especially to get into the gap. Right, so let's switch this on. With the Canon, you can just about see the left side is, I may have to do this. Okay, I'm going to stop video for now and then come back in a moment. This makes it easier for me to get this in place, is that right? It looks as if I've got something. Oh, bingo. Alright, got it almost first time, so I didn't have to actually stop. This is showing that according to the Canon coupler, it's receiving from the V-Lock mount and the V-Lock battery 7.80 volts. So hopefully that should be sufficient to actually get things to work. I'm going to stop recording now, and then I'm going to do soldering and then restart recording and show you what it looks like after the solder. I completed the soldering. It's not the best in the world, but it does the job. What I've done is to get the positive wire, which is the white one, connect to the positive connector here, and the negative one, which it was a bed wide part, to connect to this part. And I'll just try soldering. The green bit here is just going to be heat tape, so I'm just going to make sure that the connectors, the wires aren't touching each other, and it's be similar kind of thing for this. I'm just going to cut it to length eventually, and then let's test it all out. What I'm going to do, if I actually make everything, finalize everything else, I'm going to just check that things safely. Yes, brilliant. In the case, so it definitely goes in the case. I'm going to bring this O-ring here because it's what actually keeps the plastic casing together. Like I said, I will definitely gently heat the red bit, so it basically shrinks and better fits the cable coming out of here. And I do the same thing for the green one inside of here. Okay, so let's just see what we've got now. This is the new adapter for that I've just put together for the Canon DC Coupler DR-E6. This is the old one. I'm not going to throw it away, I'm going to keep it. So the first thing I want to do is take this end and connect it to the 7.2 volts for the V mount. Okay. All right, switch on the battery of the V mount. Okay, and let's just see what kind of power. Hopefully I get this done very easily. It's been fed into the Canon adapter, so the Canon coupler. So positive is red, so I'm going to try and connect that to here. Is it in there? It looks like it. Good. And negative in here. These things are notorious. Oh, brilliant! I got it right almost quickly. So you can see the voltage coming from the battery into the Canon dummy battery via the V mount is 7.80 volts. So it looks as if things are correct. The important thing is it looks I've got the polarity correct as well, because if I hadn't, towards the left hand side of the 0 here, you'd see negative sign, which indicates that the polarity is incorrect. So just demonstrate what I mean. See if I can get this right. Let's swap these round. So make that in there and hopefully get this in here. Can you now see the minus 7.80? So I have got the polarities right. Okay, moment of truth time. Let's switch this off. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, let's now bring in my EOS R6. And pop this in there. Make sure that the flap's down to allow the cable to come through. switch it on. What I'm expecting is to not see that annoying message saying this is not a recognized Canon battery, that kind of thing, and then I have to go through 2 options in order to be able to use camera. So if I turn this on, it would help if I was to turn this on. Brilliant. So immediately nothing, no warnings. It's just come on. I can also, which is good news, so just stop the lens, the camera from autofocusing, turn it to manual. I can now see power reading, so the battery reading over here, which is what you don't see when you're using a generic dummy battery. So that's good. What else is there? Currently set to manual video. Let's see what else if I switch to, say, aperture. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, seems to be working. Let's see, put that shutter speed. Let's increase something like, I don't know, something ridiculous, 4,000th of a second. Let's just see whether it works. Yeah, okay, that's fine, works. Let's try bits. In fact, let's try formatting just in case there are no, because I don't want to go out in the field and find actually when I'm using this I can't even format. Yeah, that seems to be working. That's great. Let's go to here. What kind of drive have I got? Okay, I don't know whether I'll be able to get that speed. I'm using a 17 to 40mm EF lens, so I'm not even certain I'll be able to reach 12 frames per second here. So I try something like high. I know it's not, this is just a test, so let's see what happens. Not bad. Well, that's working. Okay, let's try it again. Just see whether I can tell the difference. Oh well, that's much faster. I don't know what speed I'm getting there, but I suppose I could sort of like shoot for 5 seconds and then see how many frames there are. But it looks like there are no issues whatsoever. So this is powering the V-Lock battery, is powering the camera, and certainly my initial checks indicate there are no problems. What else could I do? Nothing here. Let's just see if that comes up. Yeah. In fact, let's just put this somewhere reasonable rather than put it back to. Make sure the autofocus works and the powerful autofocus. Oh, well, forgot. No, movie mode. Okay, so autofocus working. Let's switch it back. I mostly use this for filming, so that's working nicely. Turn it off to manual. Okay, let's see the other. Yep, that's working. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied that things are working well. I'll take time to tidy up this cable, but I hope I've given a general example of how to turn from using a proprietary Canon adapter, and by doing some simple sort of electronics, you can actually convert it, in this case, to a 2.1mm times 5.5mm right angle L-jack DC power connector. I've shown how you can confirm you're getting the right amount of power from the V-Lock and all the way to the R6. So I've tidied things a bit more, basically put some heat wrappers around here, so I basically shrunk it just to make it a bit more secure, more reliable. If I now put that in there, close that, and then add the washer. So it's fairly secure now, fairly stable. So what we have, I haven't bothered actually getting rid of a lot of the excess cable. I left it exactly as it is, simply because worst case scenario, if I need something shorter, I can always shorten it later, but I much prefer just to tie it up and then attach it to I don't know, my glide cam, the frame, or something like that, rather than run the risk of having too short a cable when I need it to be longer. Okay, so what do we do now? I'm going to take the DC Coupler DR-E6, pop it in here. Let's just take that out and pull that there. Run it through, so when you actually, there we are, perfectly. Close the flap, battery flap. Take the other end and connect it to the 7.2 volts. Okay, switch it on. Okay. Turn on the R6. Okay, that message there cannot record to card when display set to well, it's gone now, but basically what that means is I currently got the R6 set up to send images and sound from the HDMI to my recorder, which I'll show in a moment, and it's basically recording to the external recorder and it's not recording to the R6. So let's just show you what that means. So it's basically this setting here, HDMI display. I'm just going to set it to that for a moment. So it's just showing on the R6 only. The other thing I'm going to show, because remember I'm using the Canon dummy battery now. So if I go to battery info, it's actually showing the battery as DR-E6. And it's also showing the amount of power remaining. So hopefully when I'm in the field, I wouldn't have to keep on looking at this to decide whether there's enough charge. So I'll probably provide more information as I test this more thoroughly as we go along. What else is there? Like I said, I use this mostly for filming. So you can see again, battery's there. Battery readout's just above my thumb. I've currently got this to 4K 50 frames per second, so my shutter speed is 1/100th of a second, and the lens is wide open as it can be. Everything else is auto at the present moment. You can hear the camera, the lens actually just focusing. So if I actually had a microphone above this, the microphone would pick up that noise as well, and so on. Let's see whether it picks that up here. Okay, so let's just for a moment go to the HDMI settings, make sure it's set to that, so it's the camera and the screen. Okay, I also recommend make sure the power saving mode for auto power off is set to disable when you're being powered by the V-Lock or any other external power supply. Reason being, you don't want the camera to stop working or automatically power off whilst you're recording elsewhere. Okay, let's turn this off after quickly just checking everything else. Yeah, what I'm going to do now is connect my external recorder, which is Blackmagic Design Video Assist 7-inch 12G HDR, I believe it is. And first of all, I'm going to connect it to the R6 using the mini HDMI. So let's see if I can get this right. Okay, that's connected. Normally I'd unscrew one of these and put it over here to prevent the HDMI cable from being pulled out. Okay, I'm gonna now power up the external recorder, the Blackmagic Design recorder, via this D-tap cable. So let's switch this off first before I forget. Plug it that way, and also plug it in here. Let's move that over there so we can see what's going on. At the present moment, there are a lot of cable around, but really when I attach it to, say, my glide cam, I use cable ties to make things far tidier. Okay, I'm switching this on. You can see it's on there. Okay, what that should mean is I can switch this on. Okay, let's see if I've got something to just bring it up. Let's take one of these. Let's switch on the R6. You can immediately see that the R6 is sending images to the recorder, and you can also hear the R6, the lens, autofocusing, etc. Okay, so the important thing is when I turned on the R6, I didn't get the warning about the batteries, and everything seems to be working fine. Let me start recording. I use the R6 to start recording onto here. So it's saying it's format 4K or 2160p at 50 frames per second, ProRes 422. The power supply is AC, so alternating current, recognizing that there's an external power supply. And with the R6, let's see if I can see it, it's confirming similar kind of thing. 4K 50 frames per second, shutter speed 100th, battery full at the present moment. So I'm going to start recording, and you can see by pressing the red button on the R6 that started the recording on the external recorder. So that's there. I just want to make sure that things are working correctly. I know that recording is working here, so I want to make sure that by doing my own effectively DIY electronics, that I haven't in any way upset the power supply from the V-Lock V-Lock battery to both the R6 and to the monitor recorder, sorry. So what I'm going to do is stop recording. Okay, and I'm now going to try formatting one of my media on the device itself. So I've got two SD cards, ProGrade 1, ProGrade 2. They're both 128 gig in size. And I've got Samsung T5 100 gig. The format I use determines how much space there is on each storage device. So let's just try formatting the Samsung. Okay. Again, I don't want to go out in the field and find that actually there's a power issue and I can't format things. Okay, that's fine, no problem. Because I recorded previously to the ProGrade 2, slot number 2, there's one clip on there. So let's exit from here and see what the clip was. Let's just play that. Maybe if I selected the right thing. Okay, that's it. So this was recorded to the SD slot 2. So to play back, I go on there. So I can scrub. What else do I need to do to make sure things are working in here? Set the monitor. Let's see what the focus assist is showing in here. Right, so the blue that you can see on there is just the color used for the focus assist. So let me just come out of here. And you can tell what's in focus, what's not in focus. Okay, I'm fairly happy that things are working. What I need to do is give this a really serious test drive and just make sure everything's working reliably. The gain is that for using such a setup is one power supply for the camera, the external recorder, and if I wanted to also drive an audio recorder, I could drive it all off the V-Lock battery. By replacing the Canon lead adapter with a more open or more standard adapter, means that I can use the same Canon dummy battery with a lot more devices to power up the camera. Also, by recording externally to the external recorder, I'm working with ProRes 422, which is a lot easier to grade, at least on my computer, than using the H.265 format that the R6 uses for C-Log grading. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.